All right, thanks for coming this afternoon. Monday afternoon, we made a pivot a couple of months ago where I just decided that on Mondays, rather than do it evening time, I'd do some things in the afternoon, and we'll stay Thursday for our evening. This is Michael Cole, Facebook Live number 286, and today I'm having a conversation with Chris Galeo and Erin Conlon. They are partners, co-owned a beautiful salon, Grit and Grace Salon and Boutique. Once upon a time, it was Stilettos, and I'll let them tell the story. The Summit Coach, actually, there's been a handful over the years, but current is my good friend Patrick Seaton. And let me tell you why I wanted him to hang. First of all, this year's a big year for them. They have cracked a milestone that many people don't get to, and that is they went from being a six-figure sales to seven figures. It looks like they're going to be very, very close to 1.1 million. So kudos to that. But you can see the progression. In 18, they were doing half of what they're doing now. So in 4 years, they've doubled the business. 2019, 633, in spite of all the chaos of 2020, grew at another, it looks like 50, 60,000, and just blew the roof off in 2021. So you can see now, I just don't, I don't pick people just because they're nice people. So their salon average ticket, I love it, is at 120, and I think the base price on a haircut is in or around $40, give or take. And that's an average ticket that's 3 times higher than their haircut, which tells me that the training of their staff and their culture, they get their clients very, very involved in services that go beyond a haircut. And that is some really high-end color work. I'm going to see if I can get them to talk about how they manage that and market that. It's interesting because most salons in the Summit community run at about 8-9% new business. Theirs is double that. They're at 20% new. They've always been a strong retail salon. RTS runs at plus 22 all the time, and rebooking at 70% as well. Because partners, they're both here. They're going to share their story and then a little bit about the history of the salon. So I don't want to take anything away from that, but in a nutshell, Chris's timeline is graduates from high school 95. By the way, that's the year I signed with at the time it was Redken, and now it's L'Oreal. So she was just graduated from high school when I was coming on. How about that? Beauty school 98, opened the salon in 2006. Attends the first summit in 09. Rebuilds and rebrands 19. That's when 2019, when it goes from I think I'm close here, from Stilettos to Grit and Grace. They'll cover that on the story. And then her partner, my friend Erin Conlon, I remember Erin from a number of years ago. Different, her story's different. I'm going to let her tell you that. But the background is also, she is a college grad, had a bachelor's in science in business, business admin, marketing. Graduates that 05, graduates from hair school in 07. So I love the pivot. Became a shareholder in 2016, behind the chair 3 days a week. A handful of months ago, she continues to grow her family. She's got a lot going on. And she is also a Jedi at the hair extensions and dimensional brunette color as well. So what the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to bring them on. It would not surprise me if people that view are having the conversation with us today, and people that have the rewatch are going to probably have some questions and want to get some more elaboration from both of these women. And you'll be able to, I think the best way to get to them is on their Instagram page, Grit Grace Salon. Follow, because they do some amazing stuff. I love how they branded the people that work in their staff, and they're all now part of their lineage. So I'll let you, they're going to tell you about that as well. So they're in my green room. I'm going to go get them. I'm going to get them talking about the story, and then we're going to get them talking about the associate program and this thing called intelligent pricing I'm just fascinated by it. So let me bring it on full screen. and then you're going to make my friends feel comfortable by giving a round of applause. There they are. Hi, you two.
Hi.
Hi.
Good to have you.
So good to be here again.
Yeah, I know. You and I were chatting. We go way back for your first interview, so technically this is an encore for you, Chris. And I think, Erin, didn't we do some interviewing with you too somewhere in our ride together? Weren't you were featured as well?
Yeah, you had the two of us on. I think, what was it, 3 years ago, Chris?
Yeah,
we were both on.
I was very pregnant.
Yeah, you were. I remember. And Erin's on the back end of being very pregnant a handful of months ago. So you both been very busy people.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on. We were kind of catching up with each other, and as I was listening to you catch me up, I said I want to have you back on the program so that the community has an opportunity to see what you've done. So I always like to start with the story because the story has changed since the last time both of you been on. So get us started, Chris, on this amazing ride that you've been on, and at least from your view.
Yeah, I think in 2017, when we first interviewed with you here, we were going through a really difficult time. We were learning how to recover from a walkout and rebuild. And it was just a really hard time for us. So fast forward to 2019, we decided to rebrand, rebuild, relocate to a better area because we wanted better for our staff and we wanted better for ourselves. We wanted more foot traffic. We wanted to be bigger, better, faster. So we decided to change our name to Grace Salon and Boutique. And here we are today.
Yeah. So, and I remember that conversation, Chris. It was me and you and Erin after the walkout, and you were both fragile. It hurt. You were, and it was like I call it the holy jumping off point. It's one of those, we need to get busy living and growing or staying down for the count. And that was a tough conversation. But as I look back on it today, it was a conversation that was the beginning to change the trajectory. You both have been reimagined for sure. Erin, fill in some blanks on your end from the story from your perspective.
Sorry, I don't know if my phone's cutting out.
Oh, can you hear me? Doesn't.
Okay, I can now. Sorry.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, got it. So, what's the story from your perspective?
Yeah. So, in 2017, as Chris said, it was a really tough time. It was a time where we were forced to rethink kind of what we were doing and what our purpose was as a salon and what we were giving to our employees and what types of leaders we were and wanted to be going forward. So when we made the decision to relocate and rebrand, for months we went back and forth on a name. That was probably one of the hardest things, was trying to figure out, what this new label was going to be for our company. So we started kind of reflecting on the places we've been, and we came up with the word grit. And it was not only, when you walk into our salon, it's not a clean spa, tranquil music playing. We have loud music. We have a lot of employees who have tattoos all over them. So we kind of came up with that word grit, not only by appearance, but, when thinking about what we had walked through and having that walk out and, kind of just being in the crap of it all.
Yes. Yeah.
That's where grit came from. And the grace part, you know, not only do we make our guests look and feel beautiful, but the work that we did as leaders to really lead with grace and change some of the things that we were doing as far as our people were concerned was a big driving force in that word.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that once you made the decision to get busy living in a big way, all of a sudden your views and how you were using the associate program like changed. And so you kind of like fast forward, we're inches from 2022. When you two were on, I could count on one hand, maybe one and a half, the size of your crew. That's now triple. I think you're around 25 plus. And when I asked you, like, how in the world did that happen? I can't, once I get you talking about the associate program and what that's done, and how many people that are working with you now are part of your lineage. That's amazing. Chris, tell us, like, where'd that come from? How did that turn on the lights for you?
Yeah. So I think when everything happened, we just really started listening to our people and, focusing on their happiness and what made them happy and what they wanted, within reason, of course. But I think Erin and I got to a point where we were kind of tired of running on this hamster wheel. And like, we were, like exactly what we said, running on this hamster wheel. And, we wanted to create an environment where there was more opportunity for our stylists in the company. So we had talked about it and what we needed, and we announced it at a staff meeting one day. And we had an overwhelming response of people that wanted to be more involved in what we were trying to create. And it was amazing. We were like blown away by it. So we interviewed everybody separately and said, okay, what makes you happy? What about this position do you love? What do you hate? Is there anything that you don't want to do? Which forced us to create 4 new positions other than the 2 that we were originally looking for. So we created this leadership team of 5 people who now have more of a purpose in the salon and helping it grow and themselves grow within it. And we meet once a month and we sit down and we talk, and everybody brings something to the table, and it's awesome. It's really allowed us to grow as a company to what we are today.
Yeah. And I remember asking both of you, and Erin, maybe you can catch us up, that in your crew, this team, which is, by the way, world class, how many of those people that, they're in levels now, but once upon a time they were your associate or Chris's associate? You gave me a number and it kind of blew my mind.
All of them.
Yeah. And
about 20 of them. Yeah.
Well, and you have people that were associates that are now, what's your highest level of once upon a time, this person was an associate? Is it, I think you said, was it 3? You've got some people in
4.
Level 4.
Oh, wow.
Level 4.
So that's quite a, and they've, anytime you're educating someone, you're kind of passing on to them your brains, your eyes, your hands, kind of how you think. So it really is a different way of growing people. You don't need to concern yourself with trying to unlearn someone.
Right.
What type of difference, like, when you look back at before the walkout, that whatever it is you were doing to what you're doing now, you're in a place that's almost diametrically opposite. Give us a taste of what it's like to be you, what it's like to no longer be stilettos, but be grit and grace, and how you've changed and how the business has changed.
Well, I think we're completely different. And having that new name, I hate to even think back to being, oh, they used to be Stiletto Salon, because it's just a completely different crew. Our leadership is completely different. We have 3 shareholders now. So it's been amazing, Erin.
Yeah. So if I were to sum it up in one word, I would say happiness. I think that, before the walkout, everything was so numbers based, and goal oriented, which it still is. I think the one thing that we learned is happiness, and we can only do so much as leaders, but we listen to our team more. It's more about, what they want and what makes them happy, and kind of tailoring things to them. Like Chris said, within reason, we still have a business to run. But I think that it really speaks volumes that it's not just our way or the highway.
Right. I hear that happiness homily, if you will, at Summit. So when your first Summit, what did you tell me, Chris? The very first time you went to Summit was 2009.
2009.
How many times have you went back since 2009 for, we'll call it a reboot or a resharpen?
Twice.
So I know that's a consciousness now, that in addition to coaching, the strategic, the linear, that happiness, the mentoring, the personal, interpersonal. So you're saying adding that was a game change, right? And then there was something about the psychological consciousness changing from stiletto to grit and grace. That was when you look back, those were definable moments that kind of got you, we'll call it, unstuck to a business now that just cracked a mill. That's fascinating. That's big time. And so the other thing that got my attention, and I asked you before we came on this afternoon if we could chat about it, because you've been doing it such a long time. My hunch was you might have even taken it for granted, except I'm hyperventilating as you're telling me about it. And I just call it intelligent pricing on color, because in the Summit community, there are many salons that I would say that when the service provider is doing color, especially, something that's more advanced, they're overusing and or undercharging. And you've got a brilliant way of controlling that. And it's a triple win on steroids. I'd love to spend a couple of minutes with you this afternoon in talking about that, because to me, that's innovative. Who wants to get us started with that?
Sure.
I will. So we have everything in our salon is a la carte. So there's no bundled services. So if I have a client coming in for, let's say, a 1 process color, if I'm going to pull color through her ends, I'm going to charge by the additional, we call it additional color. And all of the color services are broken up by a ratio amount. So if I'm going to use a 1 process color, I'm only allowed 2 ounces of color and 2 ounces of developer. So that would give me 4 ounces of working material. If I need anything more than that, I would charge an additional color price. And I know I'm allowed 1 ounce per additional charge.
Got it. So if I'm listening right, is that in your pricing, when somebody is scheduled to have a color, you know ahead of time that it's going to be, for that price, it's 2 ounces of color, 2 ounces of developer. But anytime there's a scenario where it's going to require more than 2 and 2, that there's a very measurable way. It's not magical or mystical. You're able to say there was an additional 1 ounce or 2 ounce of each, and the ticket price is reflected in that. That is an additional charge, correct?
Correct.
And so, talk more about how do you price that add-on additional, and then how does that reflect in how your people are paid?
So all of our employees are commissioned. So I guess where it stemmed from was way back when we first started training and having associates, we were noticing our color just kind of disappearing. But at that time, they were required to bring models in and use color. And it was just something that we didn't even wrap our heads around, like, oh, all of this color is just walking out the door. So, there was a direct correlation to us being over budget in our professional budget and the amount of associates that we had. So we got real intentional about how what our mixing proportions were for each color service. So that really cut down on the amount of waste that we ended up having and kept us more in budget with our ordering.
Yeah, I think you told me that back a number of years ago, that difference was could be a couple of $1,000s a month higher.
Yeah.
And you start doing that's like, okay, if I take 2,000 as a typical month in overuse times, that's $24,000 a year. If a typical Summit salon does 10% profit, it could take $250,000 in sales to just, so that kind of like, that's stunning. That causes all of us to take pause. And today, from the size of your salon, if that's not covered, that could be twice that. You could have $40,000 to $50,000 in potential profit that goes away. So this is a very, very important conversation. Now, the other thing that really intrigued me is what the add-on price is 3 to 4 times what it costs you in the actual product. But I want you to tell the community, how does your stylist benefit from that? Chris, you want to weigh in on that?
Sure. Yeah. So you're right. It is triple the price of the product, because our stylists are also commissioned on that additional charge as well. So for every additional, let's just say for every ounce, 2 ounces of working product, they need to mix for an additional charge. That's $19. So it covers the cost of the product, and the stylist gets commissioned on top of that.
Right. So what did you say? There's a $19 add-on charge, correct? On that example, your people get commission on that. And then when you subtract the cost of the product, there is a profit for the salon as well. So your people don't see this, they see it as a win-win.
Absolutely.
How is the messaging of that so that your guests see it as a logical thing, and you don't get pushback on the guest end? Because I'm sure that'll be something that people will be wondering about.
Yeah, that's a great question.
A lot of it is discussed in a consultation. It's determined ahead of time based on the amount of hair that they have, the texture, all of that stuff. So the price is always quoted prior to the service actually being performed, so that the guest isn't like, well, what's this additional charge for? So they know in advance.
I love it. So
we coach the stylist to not itemize the pricing. Like, we're having a consultation for the look that we're creating, and we're not going out there, with a piece of paper saying haircut, color, treatment, 3 additionals, Right. So
I see.
That helped.
So the messaging around the pricing is, all of this is built in so that people don't get analysis paralysis.
Yes.
No, I love it.
Exactly.
I absolutely love it. Well, we're almost out of time. I mean, I'm just fascinated by that piece of it. But before I let you go, I want to ask you both a question. People watching this afternoon, there'll be more people watching the rewatch. They're identifying, they're relating, they're, their eyes are wide open, but they're not at where you're at today. They're still at where you were, okay? And they're seeing you where you're at, knowing that you used to be where they're at, and they're going, whoa, like they just told my story here, except I'm not in that chapter yet. What might you say to them? Because I've actually watched that major decision to go for it. What might you say to them now that you're on the other side that could inspire them, encourage them to, nothing changes if nothing changes, right? And so it takes courage. What might you say to give them some courage?
Me first.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say just keep pushing forward. Definitely listen to your summit coach. If you do have a summit coach, they know what they're talking about. Lean on them for all the advice that you should need, and be interactive with your people. They're the ones that allow us to have this beautiful life that we live, so they're super important to us. And, genuinely care about your people. Be easy, be flexible, listen to them.
Yeah.
Make sure that they know the charge they're worth also.
Yeah. Golden nuggets. Erin, anything you want to add to what Chris said? Yeah,
I think I would say culture. Culture for us is everything. And, it basically is everything Chris just said. I think that's ground zero for any salon. So there's a lot involved in culture. It's looking within as leaders within yourselves and, weeding out maybe people who shouldn't be there and hiring really intentionally. That changed everything for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at another time, I'm going to have you take us on a deep dive in your hiring, because it sounds like you're much, much more mindful in that as well. We're out of time, but promise me, both of you, that you'll come back for another encore, because I think you're just getting warmed up. And I just have a funny feeling 2022 is going to be a banner year for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to have you. I'll get back to you in a little while to have kind of the interview after the interview, and we'll take it from there. So have a great day.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to give it up for you one more time. Take care, you two.
Bye, Michael.
Bye now. Yeah, I enjoyed I saw two things, actually 3 or 4 things there. I mean, I was with both of them when after the big walkout. Yeah, I'll tell you, walkout puts us in crisis, and crisis is the recipe to open us all up to change. And change, you can't grow without changing, and yet you can change in a way where you don't grow. Sometimes I call it, you can get bitter or you can get better. And they got better in a hurry. So I actually watched that. I heard them say that they got way more intentional in their associate program. They got way more intentional in adding the mentoring piece to coaching, that it's as much about interpersonal development as it is about professional and what we call PDM, professional development meetings. That word happiness, I know, is a very, very big word at Summit. So I heard that piece. When I look at a colony of 25 people, so that colony of 25 people now, all of them are part of their lineage. Once upon a time, the level 4s and 3s and 2s and 1s were their associates. So that's a very different way of growing people that you're basically growing them to be like you. And there's very little, if any, unlearning that's taken place. So I heard that part as well. The other part that I was just intrigued by was the what they're doing with intelligent pricing. While they've been on it for a while, and I'm seeing some more versions of it now, there's actual digital tools, Vish, Salon Scale, where it really is built into the point of sale. The difference that's making in profitability is unbelievable. So I'm seeing it double, triple, quadrupling the profit. It's sustainable, meaning that you're wasting so much less. And anytime you're using more than what you would typically use, the pricing is in play where that pricing is passed on to the guest in a way that the staff is benefited as well as the salon. It's now a profit center. So that blew the sides off my brain box. So I hope that you watch this again. It sounds like we might have had some chop problems. So I'll see if I can correct that in editing. If not, I'm going to bring them back like in a hurry to have this conversation again, because it is so important. Yeah. If you're interested in any of this, I'm going to be editing it. It's going to live on Facebook. It'll be living on Instagram live as well. Stay tuned. More will be revealed. And we'll see you on Thursday night. So have a great day.